Thanks, Nomi. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar that will include an update on P EBT and an overview of the recently released guidance for summer 2021. My name is Etienne Melcher-Philbin, and I'm Deputy Director of School and Out-of-School Time Programs at FRAC. Just to quickly level set for folks not as familiar with the program, you'll see on the next slide that P EBT was created through the Family's First Coronavirus Response Act in March of 2020. The program provides an EBT card to children who are missing meals due to school or childcare closures and virtual instruction. The program was extended and expanded this fall, and most states have an approved plan to issue benefits to school-age children for days or hours missed for this school year. A subset of those states have a plan to issue benefits to children under the age of 6 whose households participate in SNAP when school or child care is closed. On the next slide, you'll see the list of states with approved P EBT plans. As of our last count, over 40 states, the District of Columbia, and the Northern Mariana Islands and Puerto Rico have been approved to issue benefits to school-age children for this school year. Over 20 states in the District of Columbia have plans for children under 6 that live in SNAP households. We have created a map on our webpage that links to all the approved states' P EBT web pages so partners can get detailed information on how P EBT works in their states and to state-specific outreach materials. While there are a few states that do not have an approved plan for this school year, and many that are still in the process of implementing this school year, the focus of today's webinar will be on P EBT for summer 2021. As part of the American Rescue Plan that was passed in March, P EBT was extended through this summer and the end of the COVID-19 health emergency. On Tuesday, April 27th, USDA released guidance on how to implement P EBT for this summer, and excited to have USDA's Food and Nutrition Services P EBT team with us today to provide an overview and answer questions. And now I want to introduce today's speakers, USDA's FNS P EBT experts, Rogelio Carrasco, Danielle Gibb, and Lynn Rogers, to start the presentation and give an overview and answer questions. And with that, I'll turn it over to Danielle to kick us off. Danielle?
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you to our partners at FRAC for hosting this webinar. As Etienne said, my name is Danielle Gibb, and I'm a Senior Program Specialist at USDA's Food and Nutrition Services. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Lynn Rogers and Rogelio. We look forward to sharing a bit about P EBT Summer 2021. But before we step forward into our presentation, we want to acknowledge the fact that it is not often that we are all joined together in one setting. So this is an opportunity to thank you all on behalf of our entire FNS team for all of your efforts to improve food insecurities and lack of food nutrition, especially during these challenging times. Given the ever-changing...
Danielle, you probably want to get a little closer to the microphone and start over. You've sounded really distant.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rogelio.
There you go.
Okay, is this a bit better?
100% better. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you so much. Yep. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. And thank you to our partners at FRAC for hosting this webinar. As Etienne said, my name is Danielle Gibb, and I'm a Senior Program Specialist with the USDA's Food and Nutrition Services P EBT team. And I am joined by two of my colleagues, Lynn Rogers and Rogelio Carrasco. We look forward to sharing a bit about P EBT Summer 2021 with you. But before we step forward into our presentation, we want to acknowledge the fact that it is not often that we are all joined together in one setting. So I would be remiss to not take this opportunity to thank you all on behalf of our entire FNS team for all of your efforts to improve food insecurities and lack of food nutrition, especially during these challenging times. Given the ever-changing circumstances, it is nothing short of remarkable to have witnessed what you have accomplished together. The many partnerships you have fostered throughout your efforts, especially between the Child Nutrition and SNAP, has really been amazing to take part in. The collaboration at all levels, to include our individual schools, community organizations, and advocacy groups, has emphasized how collaboration really fosters opportunity to make a difference during these challenging times. So we thank you again, and we look forward to sharing some information with you this afternoon on P EBT Summer 2021. Next slide. Here is what we are going to go over today. We are going to look at the background and overview for P EBT Summer 2021, our guidance and resources, and then we are going to transition to our P EBT panel, who will serve to address the questions that might arise. Our panel is made up of members of our P EBT team. From Child Nutrition, we have our team's leader, Ed Harper, and he is also joined by Wes Gaddy and Jenna DePorter. From SNAP, we have Shelley Pierce and Rogelio Carrasco, and from Financial Management, we have Lynn Rogers and Gary Tremblay. Our P EBT team panelists look forward to receiving your questions and ask that if you have any questions, to please feel free to drop them in the chat so that they can address them during the Q&A portion at the end of this webinar. Next slide. Let's talk background and talk briefly about the American Rescue Plan and the impact it has on P EBT. As many of you know, on March 11th, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, which makes several significant changes to Pandemic EBT through an amendment to our P EBT's authorizing legislation, the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. What are those changes? Let's talk about the most significant ones to us. First, it has eliminated the September 30th, 2021 expiration, making P EBT now available for the duration of a public health emergency declaration based on the outbreak of COVID. Second, it has extended P EBT into any school year in which there is a public health emergency declaration based on COVID. So what this means is that P EBT will remain available into school year 21-22 for any state with schools or childcare facilities that remain closed or operating at reduced attendance or hours due to COVID-19. And USDA is currently working on guidance for school year 21-22 and will provide in the near future. Next slide. In addition to the school year changes, we want to highlight the extension of P EBT to any covered summer period that follows a school year during which there was a public health emergency designation based on the outbreak of COVID. And two items of note here are that P EBT will be available during a covered summer period through an extension of a state's approved P EBT plan. And the Act does provide that during the covered summer period, schools participating in the school lunch program under the National School Lunch Act or the school breakfast program under Section 4 of the Child Nutrition Act of 1966 and covered childcare facilities shall be deemed closed for purposes of Section 1108 of the American Rescue Plan Act. This means that in order to participate in Summer 21 P EBT, states will need to apply for an extension of their school year 2021 P EBT plan for benefits during a covered summer period. As far as participating schools and covered childcare facilities being deemed closed during the covered summer period, as a practical matter, that means that states may issue P EBT benefits during the covered summer period without reference to students' school status, individual learning schedules, or the operating status of covered childcare facilities, which should alleviate a lot of the burden. And one final item we would like to highlight from the American Rescue Plan Act is a technical fix that expands the P EBT childcare component to Puerto Rico, American Samoa, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, effective October 1 of 2020. Next slide. Okay, so now that we've established that P EBT is here to stay for summer 2021, let's take a look at our question and answers guidance, which provides guiding principles and considerations for the implementation of P EBT this summer. Next slide. First, let's discuss what is a covered summer period. The covered summer period shall not be more than 90 calendar days that follows a school year during which there was a public health emergency declaration. And please note here that the number of P EBT benefit days equals the number of weekdays during the covered summer period. We want to highlight Q&A number 5 here in our slide, as it reviews whether or not states must determine the length of each school district's covered summer period and set district-specific P EBT benefit amounts. The short answer is no. Why? Well, as many of you might recall, the USDA received significant feedback from state agencies during a listening session where it was largely highlighted that defining this period can be challenging, which called upon the need to make the distribution of P EBT benefits to eligible children as efficient as possible. As a result, the USDA has provided the option for states to use a US-determined standard benefit, which would relieve the burden of determining their own benefit levels based on state-specific school district calendars. So we want to add here is that the USDA invites states to adopt the option to use the US standard summer benefit in order to not just simplify the development of state summer PBT plans, but also to expedite approval process. In addition, as you can see on the slide, the US standard benefit is equal to the median number of weekdays in the sampled school districts multiplied by the daily PBT rate. For states in the continental United States, that works out to a fixed summer benefit of $375 per eligible child, which is 55 days at $6.82 per day. The US standard benefit is higher for Alaska, Hawaii, and the territories, and we encourage you to see question and answer number 15 for a complete set of standard benefit amounts. As far as the other options available, they would be state-specific benefit levels or district-specific benefit levels, and Q&A number 5 will provide further guidance and the additional requirements that are tied to using those other options. Next slide. Okay, so now that we've reviewed the covered summer period, let's talk about eligibility. First, we want to point out that both Q&A number 9 and Q&A number 2 highlights the parameters for eligibility for both school children and children in childcare. While these Q's and A's serve to address eligibility parameters, they also serve to provide some of the logic for summer PEBT being an extension of a state's plan for school year 2021. For example, eligible school children are those who receive PEBT benefits during the last month of school year 2021. The important distinction here is that the eligibility applies to all school children who would have received free or reduced price school meals at school under the National School Lunch Program or the School Breakfast Program, if in person, which includes graduates at the end of the school year, as well as those school children who are eligible for free or reduced price school meals under the NSLP and School Breakfast Program in school year 2021, but did not receive PEBT in the last month of the school year because they attended school in person and benefited from a free or reduced price school meal at school. Also eligible are those children who are determined newly eligible for free or reduced price school meals during the covered summer period, meaning states must provide an opportunity for families to establish their eligibility for free or reduced price school meals throughout the covered summer period. And we do want to point out that states cannot propose a simplifying assumption that avoids processing new applications. Next slide. In looking at number 9, Q&A number 9, USDA encourages states to extend their established School Food Authority administered direct certification and school meal application processes through the summer using the administrative funding provided by the FFCRA. Another alternative, which is provided in Q&A number 10, is for school food authorities to accept new applications during the summer, but only process them after the start of the new school year. Children determined eligible on applications submitted prior to the end of the summer could then be issued PEBT benefits retroactively after the start of the new school year. USDA also encourages states to issue PEBT benefits for the full covered summer period to any child who is determined newly eligible for free or reduced price school meals prior to the end of the covered summer period. We encourage you to see Q&A number 10 for additional information on certifying children for benefits during the summer. Most notably, it addresses that many school districts are not able to process school meal applications during the summer months and provides additional information regarding how states should certify children in those districts for summer PEBT benefits. A couple things that you'll see here is that you can maintain minimal staff at school districts during summer to accept and process applications, or receive applications during the covered summer period and process them after the start of the new school year. And at this time, we also provide as a reminder that administrative costs are covered at the school level, and that while the timelines for reviewing applications will vary amongst the states, children must be approved for free or reduced price meals in order to receive PEBT benefits. We will hear more about this from my colleague Lynn Rogers here shortly. Next slide. In continuing to look at Q&A number 9 regarding eligible children in childcare, we want to provide that we appreciate states' efforts for school year 2021 to only issue benefits to children during the time they were on SNAP. The guidance for childcare benefits for summer 2021 is a bit different from the guidance during the school year. The school year guidance requires that the child is a member of a household that receives SNAP benefits in the month for which the PEBT benefits are provided. For summer 2021, for children in childcare, eligibility is based on SNAP enrolled children who receive PEBT childcare benefits in the last month of the school year. SNAP enrolled children who would have received PEBT childcare benefits in the last month of the school year, but did not receive benefits because their childcare facility was not closed or operating at reduced attendance for hours in that month, and neither their childcare facility nor the child's residence was in the area of a school that was closed or operating at reduced attendance or hours in that month. And so here we really want to highlight the information included in this Q&A's guidance, which covers SNAP enrolled children who were born before the end of the covered summer period are eligible for PEBT benefits for the entire covered summer period. Also covered is that administrative simplification, which is to encourage the issue of benefits at the start of the covered summer period. States may issue PEBT benefits for the full covered summer period to children whose SNAP enrollment begins or ends during the covered summer period. And that further, this is an extension of the school year. So this includes those children who are under the age of 6 that are currently enrolled in SNAP. As you know, school year eligibility guidance for children in childcare is based on the child being a member of a household that receives SNAP benefits in the month for which the PEBT benefits are provided. As an administrative simplification for the summer only, states may consider a child eligible for the whole summer and issue the full summer PEBT benefits if their SNAP eligibility starts or ends during the summer. The rationale for this change is to keep the standard benefits standard and keep it simple. Next slide. All right, so let's check out a couple of examples. A family applies towards the end of the covered summer period for summer PEBT benefits. Can the family receive summer PEBT benefits? If so, do they receive the full amount of summer PEBT benefits? Yes, a family that applies at any time during the covered summer period can receive summer PEBT benefits once approved. Additionally, such a family is eligible to receive the entire standard benefit. Do all children, even those that receive PEBT benefits during the school year, have to reapply for summer PEBT benefits? No. The only people submitting an application would be children who are not eligible for free or reduced price meals during the school year, but become free or reduced price eligible during the covered summer period and wish to receive summer PEBT benefits. Next slide. How should benefits be issued? Let's take a look at Q&A number 6 here. Q&A number 6, does the USDA expect states to distribute the entire benefits in a single issuance? Even though we define fixed summer benefit, this doesn't mean we encourage all states to issue a lump sum benefit. Rather, we encourage multiple issuances over the summer. So whether states elect to use the U.S. standard benefit or set their own summer benefits based on the school calendar specific to their states, USDA encourages states to distribute the benefit in 2 or even 3 issuances across the summer. While USDA recognizes that practical considerations will affect the timing of states' PEBT issuances, states should distribute summer PEBT benefits and school year benefits in issuances that could coincide as closely as possible with the period that they are intended to cover. Next slide, please. Okay, so as discussed, to expedite this process, USDA has created a streamlined template for states to record and submit the necessary information for an efficient FNS review and approval. Here is where the application for summer PEBT includes a section where states can elect the U.S. standard benefit, which accounts for a median period of 55 days, which will allow states to check the box, opting into the U.S. standard benefit for the summer and give them a fixed benefit. While we want to point out the simplified process for selecting the U.S. standard benefit, we want to recap a few items we have discussed here today. Again, please specify an end date for the state summer period. The end date is the application deadline for households to submit applications for summer PEBT. And to recap this presentation, there are a couple elements to your plan we will want to provide a reminder of, and they are: children eligible for PEBT school benefits in the summer are those who receive PEBT school benefits in the last month of the school year, or who would have received PEBT in the last month of the school year, but did not because they attended school in person. Children eligible for P EBT childcare benefits in the summer are those who receive P EBT childcare benefits in the last month of the school year, or those who would have received benefits in the last month of the school year, but did not because they did not live in the area of a school providing virtual or hybrid instruction. In addition, these groups, states must issue P EBT benefits to children who become newly eligible before the end of the covered summer period under the respective P EBT school or childcare standards. And we ask that you please confirm that your summer P EBT plan includes these groups and is limited to these groups. For the childcare plan, we want to clarify the rules around SNAP enrollment. Children under 6 must be SNAP enrolled during the summer period. However, children whose SNAP enrollment begins or ends during the summer period can receive the full summer benefit. Next slide. Again, all of the previously mentioned items are intended to streamline your approach, but it is important to note 2 final things. 1, USDA encourages all states to apply for an extension of their school year 2021 P EBT plan for benefits during a covered summer period. But please note, again, states must have an approved school year 2021 P EBT plan to issue P EBT benefits in the summer of 2021. Extending a school year plan will require that the state submits a plan amendment to USDA. However, USDA expects the development and approval of plan amendments can be completed quickly. To expedite that process, USDA has created a streamlined template, which we had just saw on the previous slide, for states to record and submit the necessary information for efficient review and approval. Next slide. And secondly, for states who will be electing a standard benefit, please indicate in your summer P EBT plan when your covered summer period ends. Why? Because households that submit applications after the end of the covered summer period are not eligible for P EBT benefits. States must communicate to parents in order to allow parents the opportunity to apply for summer P EBT benefits before the deadline. And states must include a description of how this information will be communicated to parents in their state plans. We do want to provide this as a guiding consideration, an item to conclude in your state application, and that while our guidance does not explicitly address Q&A number 9 infers based on newly eligible applicants. Our guidance does provide that states must provide an opportunity for families to establish their eligibility for—
Danielle, your sound cut out again just like 10 seconds ago. You might want to get closer again.
Okay, thank you. We do want to provide this as a guiding consideration, an item to include in your state application, and that while our guidance does not explicitly address Q&A number 9, Q&A number 9 infers based on newly eligible applicants. Our guidance does provide that states must provide an opportunity for families to establish their eligibility for free or reduced price school meals throughout the covered summer period. USDA encourages states to extend their established School Food Authority administered direct certification and school meal application processes through the summer using the administrative funding provided by the FFCRA. USDA encourages states to issue P EBT benefits for the full covered summer period to any child who is determined newly eligible for free or reduced price school meals prior to the end of the covered summer period. If school food authorities are making determinations and being eligible prior to the end of the covered summer period is one criterion in that determination process, then the covered summer period must have an end date. And finally, given this most recent summer P EBT benefit, if a state plans on submitting a child care plan, we ask the state to exclude the summer months from your plan and instead provide summer benefits through a separate summer plan for children in schools and childcare. Next slide. Finally, we want to draw your attention to our website and provide a few key areas of note. We have on the left-hand side a resource materials section that has our materials for the summer of 2021. And included here, you will see we have our policy memo, the cues and the questions and answers that we've just went over. And we also have the state plan template that had been provided on as a snapshot on one of the previous slides. Next slide. Here you will see that for school year 2021, all states that currently have an approved plan for school year 2021 are included here. And moving forward, we will have a section for summer 2021 that will have all states with an approved summer 2021 plan. And we want to provide this as a resource for you as you are moving forward with plan development, or if you have questions regarding guidance. Again, on the left-hand side, we had our resource materials for summer 2021. And at the bottom of our webpage, our landing page, we also have those same materials to include guidance from the previous school year 2021 for your reference. Next slide. I will now turn it over to my colleague, Lynn Rogers, Director of the Food and Nutrition Services Grants and Fiscal Policy Division, who will discuss the funding opportunities later in this presentation. Lynn?
Thank you, Danielle, and good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. As Danielle indicated, for this segment of the slide presentation, I'm going to be discussing the funding opportunities to support state and local P EBT administrative cost. Next slide. So today, FNS has issued 2 funding opportunities. The first funding opportunity we introduced was the fiscal year 2021 P EBT State Administrative Fund grants. And as noted on the slide, Section 4601 of the Continuing Appropriations Act of 2021 and other Extensions Act, Public Law 116-159, provided 100% reimbursement for costs incurred by state SNAP and child nutrition CN agencies for the implementation and administration of P EBT in fiscal year 2021. The second grant that we'll be discussing provides local administrative costs, and it is referred to as the fiscal year 2021 P EBT Local Administrative Cost Grants. The authorization for this was under Section 721 of the fiscal year 2021 Omnibus and COVID Relief and Response Act, and it designated the funds above that we just referred to may also be subawarded to eligible local entities for local level costs to assist in the administration of the Pandemic EBT. Next slide, please. So the package for the fiscal year 2021 P EBT State Administrative Funds grant was released to our regional office grants management administrative services divisions on January 7th, 2021. The direction provided to them was the grant should be awarded directly to the SNAP state agencies, but as a condition of receiving the awards, a SNAP state agency has to agree to enter into an agreement, and for example, an MOU or whatever works for that state with their child nutrition state agencies and reimburse their cost accordingly. Regional offices were instructed that they may provide an initial allocation of funding. We refer to this sort of as seed money, and that was to be provided to the state SNAP agency only if the state had an approved has an approved P EBT plan on file with FNS, and the funding was provided to help defray their initial administrative cost, while the SNAP state agency could work in coordination with the CN state agencies to develop a more detailed spending plan. That more detailed spending plan has to come to us in the form of what's called an FNS 366A form, and it is to outline the the total dollar need that the state agencies feel they need for administrative cost. The period of performance associated with these grant awards runs from October 1, 2020 through September 30, 2021, and only costs incurred in fiscal year 2021 may be charged to this grant. Next slide, please. So those were the state grants that I just referred to that cover state administrative costs. But as I'd mentioned, we also released a second grants package that addresses P EBT local administrative cost grants. And this package was also released to our regional office grants management administrative services divisions on March 26, 2021. The grant awards are to be provided by FNS regional offices to their respective child nutrition state agencies, in this case, who will in turn reimburse schools, local agencies of the state, and other local units for allowable P EBT expenses. The state must also have an approved P EBT plan on file with FNS. The period of performance is the same as the state admin grant, and that is October 1, 2020 through September 30, 2021, which means that all costs must be incurred in the fiscal year 2021 period. Next slide, please. So as with any federal funding, with any program funding, grant funding, costs must be allowable. So funds provided under both awards are available for necessary, allowable, and reasonable cost of implementing and administering the PEBT initiative incurred during fiscal year 2021. Examples of allowable costs under each type of grant may include salaries of personnel needed to help administer the PEBT initiative, outreach, equipment, supplies. It may also include support services, which could include contracts for staffing or system-related work that show a clear allocation to the fiscal year 2021 PEBT program. Other examples of the local level entity grant administrative cost could be reporting student level or school level learning models to their states, designated staff designated to respond to parent requests and questions. In some states, there may be third-party call centers at the state level, but we recognize that questions about eligibility and student schedules are also going to end up at the school level with school districts. Collecting and processing school meal applications specifically to establish eligibility for PEBT. Many school districts are serving free meals through the Summer Food Service Program or SSO, and therefore may not be collecting school meals applications this year. So key to this is that the cost be allowable, and with the state administrative grants on the 366 plan, we do ask that states provide a cost basis, a narrative identifying the cost basis for any grants over 100,000. So our recommendation today is that any states that are working on a plan to make sure that when they have cost in categories that exceed 100,000, that they please make sure that they provide a cost basis, how they arrived at that cost, and provide the detail necessary for us to be able to understand the cost. Unallowable costs are those expenses that are not necessary or reasonable for the administration of the fiscal year 2021 PEBT program, and expenses that may already be covered under another federal award. Next slide, please. So I believe I will be turning this over to Rogelio Carrasco at this point. And Rogelio works for our SNAP, and as he indicated at the beginning of most of our calls, he is the grand poobah of all things PEBT, as he will let you know. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let him take it away.
I am not the grand poobah of PEBT. On the contrary, in this case, I have the easiest job. Danielle and Lynn have already done the hard part, so I get the easy part. I don't even have a slide, because this is what I'm getting here is that you may have noticed that there are no slides on PEBT, on EBT, or regarding specifically the SNAP side of the house, so talking about sub-benefit types, or how you're going to do, EBT issuance files, things of that nature. And here, let me clarify, I am speaking directly to the state folks who put together these plans. You may have noticed that there's no slides on that, or on your communications plan, or how you're going to handle dispute resolution. These are all issues that are addressed in the school year template and in the school year plans. The reason we don't have slides for that is because, as Danielle said and demonstrated, our overarching goal for summer has been to make things as possible, as simple as possible. And so we're looking at summer as an extension of the school year plan. And since by now, everybody on this call is at least a year into PEBT, we assume most of you have all those issues figured out, and you're already implementing those parts of your school year plan. Consequently, there's no need to address those issues in your summer plan. Unless, and here's the caveat, unless you're going to significantly change the way you address those issues. The key word is significant. I'm putting that in air quotes and bold and underlined. So, for example, if your communications plan previously relied on flyers and social media posts and text message blasts, and you've decided that text message blasts don't work, and to eliminate those, that is not a significant change. That's just part of your plan that you're phasing out because it didn't work. If, on the other hand, you've decided to completely eliminate your communication with the public, that would be significant, because that now you're talking about just completely cutting a part out. So again, our goal is simplicity. So unless there is a very significant change, there is no need to mention the matters I discussed above. SNAP part, the EBT part, communications plan dispute resolution in your summer template. That's it. That's all I've got. I had the easy part, like I said. And now I'm going to hand it back to ATN, who's going to handle the Q&A portion of this presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ahilia. Thank you all. That was super informative and have been taking down a lot of notes. Now we will open it up to questions. Please put them in the Q&A box on the right side of your screen. Please don't put it in the chat box. I'll be monitoring the Q&A. If we don't get to your question, or if you have a state-specific question, we can follow up with you after the webinar. So with that, I will start with the first question, and that is, our state education agency is concerned about the option for students to apply in the summer and qualify due to low summer staffing at schools. There's also some confusion since any applications post July 1st are for school year 21-22. Does this mean a student eligible for the coming school year but not this school year, who signs up before the end of the covered summer period, will qualify?
This is Ed Harper. I'll take that one. I'll take that one. We knew that question was coming. That's one that we have to provide an answer to. We don't have an answer to that yet. Obviously, any application, school meal application that's processed after July 1st, right? That's not an issue at all. It's the question about the ones that come in after a school year has ended. Let's say your school year ends Memorial Day. So the month of June, your application comes in June. Is that application good for school meal benefits in school year 21-22? I mean, that's presumably only going to affect a small number of schools in the country that are not operating under the SSO option, but certainly does qualify the child for P EBT benefits for the entire summer period, both the pre-July 1 period and the post-July 1 period. And if P EBT continues into school year 21-22, which it will, and your school is offering some kind of hybrid or remote learning, then that child would remain P EBT eligible in school year 21-22. The only unknown at this point, unanswered at this point, is whether those applications would be could be used for school meal benefits in any school that's doing counting and claiming under the NSLP next school year.
Thank you. The next question, can state education agencies use administrative funding to create a statewide school meal application?
Well, this is Ed again. Our Q's and A's don't encourage that, right? The goal is to use the school meal, the established SFA administered school meal application process, because of the built-in integrity safeguards. That makes it, the preferred method for certifying children for free reduced price meals, and by extension for summer P EBT. And as Danielle discussed earlier, we understand that schools are not staffing their SFAs, or SFAs are not necessarily staffing their school meal processing offices during the summer months, which is why we've offered what we think is a pretty convenient workaround, which would be to accept applications from parents during the covered summer period and then process them when the SFA staff, when the school year resumes. So we wouldn't encourage a state-administered non-NSF, non-SFA administered application process. But if a state does propose that, we're certainly willing to talk.
Thank you. Okay. The next question is about benefit issuance. If my state is still in the process of issuing benefits for the school year during the summer, can they combine the benefit issuance for summer with the benefit issuance for the school year? Can it, I guess an example, can it be all in one lump sum?
Well, we understand, right, that states are still getting their school year plans up and running, so that there will be plenty of school year benefits issued during the summer months. Does that mean that states should hold off issuing their summer P EBT benefits until after the summer is over? We're going to defer to the states on what's appropriate there. Obviously, the more that the states issue benefits in bulk, and this is where I might ask Rogelio to weigh in. That's not ideal, but again, we've been deferring to states, but encouraging them to space out payments. Rogelio.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and jump in there. That's exactly right. Look, we realize we're at May 12th, and some states are still going to are barely starting to issue for the summer. We get that, and we wouldn't say you have to hold off on issuing summer benefits when you get all those out. We're going to defer to the states on that. All things being equal, if you're asking us what you should do, we would encourage states to split and stagger benefits as much as possible. I mean, because you don't want a bunch of benefits out there all at once. That causes issues with with the supply chain. You've seen some places run, stores running out of food or whatnot. You get into some integrity temptations that you probably don't want to get into. Social distancing might still be a concern during the summer. So to the extent you can, split and stagger. And for those of you who don't know, split means to spread across multiple months. To stagger means to split across multiple days within a given month.
Thank you. The next question, do children starting school for the first time in school year 21-22 qualify for summer P EBT?
Say that again. So, depends on a couple of things. So children who are beginning kindergarten next school year were not P EBT eligible in the previous school year. So as Danielle pointed out, the summer period is an extension of the school year that just ended. So if the child has not yet enrolled in school, was not school child in school year 2021, then that child would not be P EBT eligible during the summer, unless the child was under age 6 and on SNAP, and then was therefore eligible for P EBT's child care benefit in the previous school year.
Great, thank you. Another question for children under 6. For children under 6 who are part of a household enrolled in SNAP, can you clarify whether households receiving expedited SNAP benefits qualify as enrolled for the time period they are certified to receive expedited benefits?
I'm not the best person to answer that one. I don't know if Shelley wants to take that or if we want to take that one back and provide a response after the fact.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't quite get it.
Yep. For children under 6 who are part of a household enrolled in SNAP, can you clarify whether households receiving expedited SNAP benefits qualify as enrolled for the time period they are certified to receive expedited benefits?
I definitely do not have an answer to that. I apologize for that. Shelley had to leave, but we'll look into that and get back to you on that. Fair enough?
Okay. That sounds good. As I said, we will definitely be following up if we don't get to your question or do need to get back to you. What happens when P EBT 2.0 plans have not been approved in our state and summer is based off of the 2.0 plan? Question, can a state implement summer without a school year plan approved?
Right, as Danielle pointed out, the answer is no, but at the same time, we don't expect any state to not have an approved approved school year plan. And we're well on our way to wrapping those up. The states that haven't yet submitted plans are very few, and the ones that have are on their way to approval.
Great, thank you. The next question, are Head Start children covered for summer P EBT benefits?
Let's see, I answered that one in the chat. Let me just read. I can read my answer for the benefit of everyone else. In response to this is a question from Carmen about Head Start. Children are eligible for summer P EBT benefits if they were eligible for P EBT in the current school year. So that means if their Head Start programs were administered by an NSLP participating school. The other the other way that Head Start kids would be eligible for PEBT during the summer is if they were, if they are a current SNAP participant under the age of 6.
Okay. Thanks. The next question, can nonprofits receive PEBT administrative funding for contracted work with the state or local agency?
I'm sorry, would you repeat that one more time, please?
Can nonprofits receive PEBT administrative funding for contracted work with a state or local agency?
Well, with the a state agency may contract with an entity such as a nonprofit to do that type of work, and that could potentially be considered an administrative cost. I believe under the local grants package, we make clear that contracts with local entity with nonprofits may also be considered. So yes, I think it's acceptable under both, as long as it's on a contractual basis and it can clearly be linked to the administration of PEBT.
Great, thank you, Lynn. Our school district will be utilizing the summer nutrition waivers next year and not collecting applications. How can families access PEBT benefits?
I don't know if this is a school official or a state official asking the question, but the states have worked that out this school year because most schools around the country are operating without collecting applications this school year. It'll work the same way next school year. And schools in school year 2021 relied on free and reduced price eligibility determinations made in school year 1920. Obviously, schools that are on CEP, there's that alternate means of identifying kids who are free or reduced price eligible. So there are ways around that we've already had to address in school year 1920. It'll work the same way next school year.
Great, thank you. The next is from a school district. If we are a community eligibility school district, do all of our students automatically qualified for PEBT?
So for the summer, if they were CEP in the school year that just ended, because the summer is an extension of the school year that just ended, then the answer is yes.
Okay. Are newly CEP adopting schools for school year 21-22 eligible to receive PEBT benefit over the summer?
And that's the exception. The answer to that one is no, because of summer being an extension of the school year that just ended. Of course, in most CEP schools, the great majority of kids are free or reduced price eligible. So those kids would, that subset of kids would be eligible for PEBT benefits during the summer.
Okay. Since children could be eligible for PEBT in the 2020-21 school year based off of their free or reduced price eligibility in the 2019-2020 school year, does that mean that those students would also be considered eligible for summer PEBT based off of their 2019-2020 free and reduced price meal eligibility?
And the answer to that is yes, right? As long as they were receiving PEBT in the school year that just ended, which would have been based on school year 1920 free and reduced price determinations, then yes, they would continue to get PEBT during the summer.
Great, thank you. Can you please confirm that California's school year 2020-2021 plan has not been approved for school-age children?
California's school year or 2021 plan for school children has not been approved. California's child care plan has been approved. This is one of the states that I mentioned before, right? Where every expectation to, approve California's plan in the very near term.
Great. The next question is, what do we do if a school district or county agency, just reading, there are some school districts that are not submitting the data to the state. What do we do in that situation?
Well, that sounds like a question that could benefit from some one-on-one TA, and I'm assuming it's a question from a state agency, I would encourage the state just to send us an email and we'll talk.
That sounds good. Okay. Can an end of the year graduate who is enrolled in college this summer be eligible to receive P EBT?
Right, Danielle covered that as well, and that's in our Q's and A's. So children who were P EBT recipients in the last month of the school year, including graduates, if they were enrolled in the school up to the end of the school year, they would remain P EBT eligible during the summer.
Great, thanks, Ed. All right, well, it looks like the last few questions are state specific, so we can send those to USDA with your contact information, and we can do follow-up on that, given just, again, very state-specific issues. So we will end there. I don't see any other questions in the box that haven't been answered, but want to thank all of our speakers today and those who also joined us for the Q&A to share their insights. So thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. We really appreciate it. As Nomi mentioned before, the recording and slides we sent after this webinar is complete, as well as the links to the Q&A that was mentioned. I know that was a question in the chat, and so we'll send all the resources that our colleagues at USDA FNS mentioned, as well as various FRAC resources that we have developed on P EBT. I know there are a lot of questions on here about applications and outreach, and we've developed quite a few customizable outreach resources that you can use to really get the word out and get those applications in if potentially your school isn't utilizing community eligibility. So please reach out if you do have any other questions, but we'll be following up with those whose questions are specific to their state. So thank you all for joining us, and we hope you will join us for our next webinar in the coming weeks. Thanks, Paul.